to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. We are back with round 2 of our Tech Talk. Brian Smith joining us in studio. Earlier we were talking about the massive war going on between Chinese companies and the US. Of course, some new trade agreements being re-established. And of course, I think the big question a lot of people want to know is what changes can we see in the next couple of months?
So the interesting answer is potentially very few massive changes that we actually need to worry about. So going forward, consumers who own Chinese produced devices don't actually need to worry about losing access to Google's version of Android or other platforms such as Windows at the moment. Both companies have iterated that support is ongoing and that consumers will both be able to access all the apps that they know and love, as well as be able to get security patches as and when they need them. In terms of different price structures, it'll likely be the next crop of generation of smartphones that we see will have a significant price tiering, or there might be somewhat of a delay between the next generation of Chinese smart devices, given that new trade agreements might need to be re-established, or the markets that these devices are available in might change over time.
Yeah. So if you own a Chinese-produced smartphone in this case, are you saying you don't need to worry?
Not at the moment. So going forward, if you have a Chinese-produced device at the moment, you will continue to receive all your apps and services as per normal. You won't necessarily notice a difference. However, it remains to be seen in future what direction the brand can take. And the huge avenue that this actually opens up, which could be great for consumers, is that Chinese electronics manufacturers might make their own operating systems, such as Android, which you use on most Chinese smartphones in any case. So essentially what that will mean is that you will have more competition in this space, a greater variety of apps, and more competition between Google, which up until now has been a relative monopoly in this space.
Okay, very interesting. And for those of us, for example, using a Samsung phone, does that affect us in any way?
No, not at all. So this is going to be a very interesting advent to watch, in that sort of the Chinese consumer electronics market and the South Korean market, which is where Samsung and other brands come from, will now have a very interesting square off and perhaps a repositioning over the next couple of months. So no, you don't need to worry.
Yeah. Do you think this is going to have a ripple effect on economies across the world, in the sense that countries will now start kind of looking at their import-export trade agreements, the viability and feasibility of in-country produced materials or products?
I hope so. I think sort of locally produced products are always an interesting way to go, and we've seen in markets such as India, where insourcing efforts have been made to produce devices on a country's home soil, have been really successful. So that's going to be something to watch in future. It remains to be seen at a software level how this will pan out forever, and that's arguably going to be the bigger debate, is bringing sort of perhaps a new operating system or a new platform to different markets with the same level of support that we've grown to expect over these past couple of years.
Okay, well, it's going to be interesting to watch this tech war between the US and China play out, but I know it's time to go. Worst case scenario, if you can quickly tell us, what would the worst case scenario be in this regard?
So in the worst case scenario is that the next batch of flagship devices won't necessarily have the same version of Google's Android that we have. We may not be able to access services such as WhatsApp on Chinese produced devices. Broadly speaking, the worst case scenario again is that the cost of devices will increase exponentially in a short period of time. However, that is somewhat unlikely, and there's not necessarily that great a cause to worry at the moment.
Okay.
Well, let's hope those negotiations work out well then. But interesting news from the world of technology. Let us know which stories have captured your imagination. Share them with us on our social media platforms. And of course, for more, you can check out the technology tab that is on our website, expressoshow.com.